We're live in Des Moines, Iowa at this year's Global Insurance Symposium. I believe it's the 4th annual. Robin, you just gave a wonderful keynote presentation titled Digital Disruption, Threat and Opportunity. Give our listeners a quick overview, if you would, of your talk, including the number one biggest threat, maybe that, and maybe also the number one biggest opportunity that you feel like is facing the insurance and financial services industry today.
Well, thank you very much for having me here. I'm really happy about that. So the biggest threat, I think, there are a lot of them, like life has a lot of threats. You can get insured. Well, the biggest threat, I personally believe, are the technology companies pouring into the insurance sector. Amazon opening a large office in London, attacking 6 markets in Europe, also opening parallel a new healthcare provider with JP Morgan and Berkshire Hathaway. All this leaves the impression that they're serious about it. And why are they so dangerous? It's not because they know so much about the customer. They do that, and we do too. And they are so dangerous out of 2 reasons. First, they have experience in disrupting other markets, retail, entertainment, music, name it. And they have experience in disrupting themselves. And I think those later points are not something we identify with the insurance industry nowadays.
Great points you made. Your talk on stage encouraged those executives in the audience to take a pause and write down a couple of notes to cement the action items, the takeaways. What do you hope that attendees would have written down on their notepads?
First, I would love that they would have written down to go home and to think about what can we do to expand our business. Mm-hmm. Digital transformation is not a topic for it to be defensive. It's not a topic to think about how can we slow down the erosion of our customer base. In the end, digital transformation also enables the insurance industry to conquer the world, if they're serious about it. It's a hard way. The easy way is not to do it. It's the hard way. And I would love that they would write down, that they wrote down, that it's the hard way to think about how can we use digital transformation to expand our business in areas we would have not thought about.
Now, it's a great point you make. I know that the Global Insurance Symposium, we're just getting started, but I'm curious, what are your initial impressions of this year's event and maybe even the city of Des Moines?
Yeah, well, my main point is that I went to high school in Midland, Texas, so I know the America outside the large cities, and I really love it. And I do a little shout out to my host family, the Carter family in Midland, Texas.
Excellent.
I spent a great time too. And next year it's 20-year high school reunion in
Excellent.
I am going to be there.
Excellent.
And go to my high school. So the city of Des Moines I really like it. It's I walked down the streets a little bit. It was sunny weather, so well organized Des Moines for that. Mm-hmm. And a really nice open people and very calm conversation, even about controversial topics in the industry. When it comes to the symposium, it's a large one, I think, but still the people organizing it have managed to give it a personal note. I could name several organizers here that really put a lot of effort into myself, or in general you see that actually in every corner, the details, and I think that's something what I would take away is the personal touch of this event by people like Kai, Laura, Ashley, and the rest, and Doug Almond. And I think that's something very special.
Absolutely. Great people all around the state of Iowa. I'm curious, what's your backstory? In other words, how did you become such an influential insurtech and fintech thought leader? I'm interested to take you back in time, maybe even pre-Digitalscouting.de. You just told me before we hit record today that your wife encourages you or suggests that it's your favorite hobby that's now out of control, I think is what you said.
Yeah.
But tell our listeners a bit more about yourself, if you could, and your backstory.
Yes, so one of my first big impacts on me really was my time in America, in Midland, Texas, going to high school there, to getting an international perspective and to really understand that we are all the same in some way on this planet, but also different in certain ways, and not only when it comes to music. Pre-Digitalscouting days, what you asked me, what makes this so successful, or being a thought leader. I always spoke out in my mind, so I always call out the elephant in the room. that most of the time doesn't make me very popular in boardrooms or senior VP meetings, but it's always the one or two innovators inside the company that really appreciate that, and that those people are then who call me and ask for help, and that I support them. So my main, and why am I doing this? I think at least in Europe in the insurance industry we have a lot of elephants in the room, and we have a lot of topics we don't talk about. For example, Amazon entering the insurance industry. And actually wrote an article last year, December, when it came out that they opened an office, and it became the most read article in Germany within hours. Why? Because I just also talk about the consequences. What does it actually mean when we don't move? And my role, why am I doing this? I'm doing this to support the innovators in corporations and companies, so they can say, to their bosses, or when they're on the board themselves, it's not only me saying this, but actually that's Robin Guy, who has 40,000 followers, and he says this too. So really to support them, and we need to talk about taboos. We need to talk about the elephant in the room. We need to talk about the hard questions, because if we're not, we are going to lose, and this would be a disaster to the industry and a disaster also for our customers, and we need to save and secure them, and that should be our mission.
Yeah, that's excellent points you make. It's part of the ethos and the reason why we do Denim Rivet. It's part of why we're trying to put the community, the voice together to encourage the industry to move forward. Let's focus on Digitalscouting for a moment. Your firm, what does Digitalscouting do? What types of companies and maybe even what types of startups do you like to partner with?
Yeah. So Digitalscouting has become a platform for entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and senior management to share their ideas. Daniel Schreiber of Lemonade participated, or Matteo Carbone and others. So giving them a platform to discuss and talk about the elephant in the room and the consequences there, and also to share my experience when traveling into different ecosystems. In order to that also the people back home and the offices can participate in some way, and that they are here with us right now in some way. So that's that. In addition, if you go out there and share your thoughts, you get a lot of requests. So out of this situation, I'm sparrings partner of insurers or banks to talk about the digital transformation strategy, about really, because I'm a software guy, I'm a product development guy, so I'm really do this. If you come to me and say, set up an ecosystem of digital products and services in this industry, it's like I really get excited and not getting in panic, because I've done it before. Right. And actually, currently, that's another head of mine, I'm working for a private bank and helping them with that. But besides that, Digitalscouting is, again, a sparrings partner, but also helping them with communicating. I mean, you have so many small players that do a good job in general, or do a good job on small parts of their project, but nobody knows them. You have some mutual insurers, or even insurers run by entrepreneurs, and they do, out of their maybe a little bit conservative way of thinking, nevertheless awesome things, but nobody knows them there because they don't communicate. They don't are not getting through to the traditional media. But nowadays you have opportunities with you're holding a phone right now with your smartphone to create things, get it out there, distribute it for free in the whole world. And if you have good content and good ideas, people are going to listen to you, and I help them also with that. So not only like software and ones and zeros, but also about communicating that. And then I have a beautiful wife and a child, and that's actually besides Hamburg Sports Club, my big passion is my family.
Excellent. So you're based in Hamburg, Germany, as you just mentioned, and so tell us about the fintech, the insurtech, maybe the startup scene in Germany and across Europe. You're an expert there in particular, and what are some of the major trends that you're seeing? How are they similar or different from what you see happening in the United States?
Well, what is similar, that all are driven by passion, a passion for an industry that does not lead to a large conversation at parties most of the time. So you have people that are convinced that it's important to push this industry and to modernize it and to actually help them. So I think I see this all over. I see this in MENA, if it's Dubai, if it's Israel, if it's China, if it's Europe or America, it doesn't matter. You have entrepreneurs out of different reasons that are passionate about it and that put a lot of energy and effort into it, and that are the lifeline, I think, from the industry. It may be innovators, internal or external. When I come to the European ecosystem, I think we see different waves right now. You had the first wave of insurtechs that attacked parts of the value chain. For example, offering a contract app or something like that, where you can switch contracts and make money with the commission there. What we see right now is slowly but surely large-scale attacks on the whole value chain by full digital insurers. Do I believe every single startup that we see in Europe will survive? No. But I very strongly believe that we will see the ecosystem survive. Because, and that's what a lot of people in incumbents don't understand. If you have an insurtech that goes broke, it's sad. I'm sorry for the founders who put their hearts and minds into that. But it's actually a good situation for the ecosystem because the best people of that go to the best in other insurtechs that are newer, and so it's actually the first thing I do when I see that a company is struggling. I call my friends there and ask them if they actually want to work for me.
Exactly right. I've seen this time and again already here in the United States as well, and so it's good that I think the insurtech ecosystem is evolving and maturing. And to your point, that means oftentimes that founders of one company end up working at a different company in some capacity. I think that's a good evolution that takes place, a natural evolution that takes place. So what do you feel like the future of digital marketing and insurance looks like? We're kind of doing a part of that maybe here with the microphones and the recording devices we're doing, right? And the video camera that we have, your video camera going right now, but tell us a little bit about how you think insurance companies and insurtechs should be thinking specifically about digital marketing and the future of that.
Yes, I believe if we look, I have a lot of insights into traditional insurers, mutual ones or public ones in Europe. And you may not believe it, there's a large portion of it, multi-billion-dollar companies that don't even have tracking on their homepage.
It's amazing.
They don't.
That's an amazing thing to think about.
It's like the consequence, but it's natural because back in the days, in the 80s and 90s, you had different sales cycles, and October you sold accident insurance, December you sold car insurances, and in the between you did different things. But the world has changed, and if you have the debates on, you really have debates inside of insurers. Should we track? Should we even sell products into should we sell products online? I mean, if you look at the reality out there, if you look how our consumption behavior changed, how you see customer cohorts also inside of insurers eroding, not the current contracts that are already there, but if you look at the numbers of new business and who does what business in which situation, and if you really look deeply into the KPI, it's already now a bloodbath. At least in Europe. Right. I know in America you have a strong agent base and strong brokerage, but this already has been eroded in Europe. Aggregators, so where you can search for contracts and tariffs as end customer, but also small and mid-sized businesses, they have crushed the market. Not one single insurer is at the top if you Google certain insurances in Europe. There are some, but then there are digital spin-offs of traditional insurers, and they are crushing it. They are making a lot of business. And they now actually, traditional companies need to pay a lot of money to these aggregators to be on top on the search engine, or to at least to participate. What is the future of digital marketing? I strongly believe in the end, insurances need to open themselves. We need to open ourselves. We need to help our customers. I mean, the funny thing is, if you look at successful agents and brokers, what do they do when their best client or even their worst client's house burns down? They go there, besides family or friends, they are the first people standing beside each other when the firemen are still that. And they're saying, Doug or John, we are here, we are protecting you, and we are going to make sure that your farm or your house is going to be even better than before. These are the great agents and insurer and brokers. I think they will always prevail independently of technology. But the idea is to take this idea of the best agents, the best brokers you have, and to put this into technology and help those, but also as a holding, as a corporate, as a headquarters, to really go out there and help every single person. But first you need to be in contact with them. Right. I know insurers that don't even have email addresses of their customers, and they don't want to collect it, or they don't. Their sales organizations don't collect it because so much pressure on it. So I really believe that we need to put a lot of knowledge out there. We need to put our knowledge for our customers, to give them services when they get a baby, to provide them with ideas how to nurture it, and to avoid accidents, for example. If they leave college, what kind of questions do they have when they rent their first apartment, when they buy their first house, and to really accompany them in their different life, and in the end become the trusted companion for risk and finance.
Such great points you make, such great points. I know that you've been following blockchain closely. What impact do you see blockchain having on the future of insurance and financial services?
To be honest, I have tried to get my head into that. I've not seen a lot of use cases. There are flight delay insurances, for example. Potentially, it can be a total game changer, but I think we need to invest a lot in research and development before that happens.
Okay. So a little bit of time yet.
Yeah.
There's some runway ahead for blockchain to really take on the insurance industry and have a big impact, a meaningful impact. Okay. So let's talk about tactical steps that leaders can take to jumpstart their innovation efforts. This is a big, you paused during your keynote address this morning on the main stage in the general session to ask leaders to jot down a few notes.
Yeah.
We just talked about that. What can they do today? What would you think? When they get home back to their office, what should they think about first? What should they be thinking of maybe a month from today? And what should the goals maybe 12 to 18 months be down the line?
From tomorrow on, or if you go back to your office, I would really adapt the Nike principle, just do it. Don't wait for the next 5-year project planning cycle to start for something. Do it now. And it does not matter if you are a C-suite, if you are a senior VP, or if you are a regular employee of the company. That does not matter. You can start. You can start with trying to work differently, break down the silos, break down the barriers. You can start an after-work club for people to get to know who actually works down the hall and think, and get to know them personally, and then you can work better together. Or you can introduce daily stand-ups. Why don't boards have daily stand-ups? And why don't boards also share a lot of more information with their employees? And so there are a million different things you can do. What one startup I worked for did is they opened a mail room so you can get your Amazon packages directly to your work. Why is it important? Because in Germany, post offices close at 5 or 6, and if you are a late bird, you don't make it. So to relieve your customer of these things, there are a million things you can do. I would just do it, and if you fail, that's not bad. That's good. That's learning, and then you just do the next thing. This is short term. In the midterm, I would really think about. Let's decide: do we want to go the easy way and have 5 more good years, or 10 maybe, or do we want to have legacy? Do I want to be the responsible person? They name it as the last C-suite and board member on that topic, or do I want to be the board member that halls and buildings are named after because it was me that changed the fate of the company, and that was the turning point of that, and choosing the hard way. So that would be 5 hard years, but they would stay forever. And what should we do? I think really set up ecosystems for your customers. Put your customers in the center. I know that's a buzzword, but really truly do it, and surround the customer with a lot of free stuff you give them and make their life easier. And if you do that, the revenue will come.
Interesting points. As you're talking about that leader, the word courage comes to my mind. Yeah. You're suggesting leaders have to have convictions, correct, about the future, but they have to have the courage of their convictions to make the necessary change.
Yeah.
And to drive that change.
I see 2 types right now in Europe driving that. First, young appointed board members that know I need to work 25 more years in my job, and if I don't do it, I have a problem in 10. So they doing the unpleasant things because they just do it for their own survival, and of course for the bigger good.
Right.
And I see seasoned board members. Sometimes they're entrepreneurs and they own the insurer, or seasoned C-suites and board members that don't care that they get the wind blowing into their face. They actually love it. That say, okay, I'm going to go the hard way because, I have 5 more years or 7 more years, and I want to have some fun, and I want to have some energy, and I don't want just to, open new physical stores. I want to really change it, and I want to actually that they work on their legacy. These both types I see moving things, but it's the radical minority.
Yeah. So as you think about new innovations, a lot of new innovations and new technologies taking place nowadays, startups working to change the insurance industry for the better, I'd like to challenge you to think of 2 or 3 either startups or new types of technologies that stand out to you that you really feel like are making a difference.
Well, I think every single entrepreneur that is so bold to go and found a startup changes the industry by increasing the pressure on incumbents.
Good point.
So I am really impressed by every single one, and I'm on advisory boards of some, and I think it's very, very important. To name certain ones, difficult. So I'm really excited about the full insurers, new full insurers as we see in Europe right now. But there are also some smaller ones providing exciting drone technology or AI technology, or that are developing some analytic tools for the insurance industry, or even you guys. What you guys are doing is very interesting, and I really hope that you soon come to Europe.
Yes, we should. We should find our way to Europe. That's exactly right. As we look forward to the rest of 2018 and beyond, what are your thoughts about what's going to happen within the InsurTech ecosystem and innovation across the industry? Just some general thoughts as we look to the future.
My wish would be, because I cannot look in the future, my wish would be, well, I think there will be a consolidation sooner or later. We will see InsurTechs fail. That will happen. Even maybe some large ones. That is okay. I really wish that the trend, the very small trend I see, that more agile outside industry people get appointed and get responsible positions in insurers. I think this is the way we should go. A positive example is the Otto Group. It's the last man standing against Amazon in Europe in e-commerce. Why did they survive in contrast to everybody else? They were family owned, run by Michael Otto, and when he saw Amazon approaching, he had the same debates we have now. It's not, they're not going to approach us. Our customers don't want it, and so on. But he went and did the radical thing. He rebuilt his whole company. They were one of the most conservative, boring companies that existed, and now they have become a tech company by radically hiring people from outside the industry and giving responsibility to people who have actually done it, and not relying on seniority principle. It was hard decisions. He needed also to get rid of some old friends that were and made the company in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But I wish we would see this in the insurance industry. Bold advisory boards, bold CEOs hiring people from outside the industry, or and really giving them the responsibility to go the hard way and to really work on the future of the industry and a company.
You know, it would be fascinating. You bring up a good point here that every big insurance company has a board, or a small insurance company has a board of directors, a board of advisors, maybe potentially, and a committee structure within those boards. Are you aware of any InsurTech leaders that have been appointed or voted to become members of a board of directors of an incumbent insurance company, or potentially some type of advisor capacity?
Not a single one.
Isn't that fascinating? That's an interesting idea, though, that I think that's another way to infuse the new way of thinking, the new innovative thought approach into an incumbent insurance carrier.
Well, there are some, but what I experience is that a lot leave very quickly. So what I see sometimes that people are just taking up the seats. I mean, to be very honest, I also, it's not a question of age, but mindset. When I see young people being appointed chief digital officers of an insurer, for example, and the main argument is they have been deputy team lead in the HR department and are the only people under 50, having never in their whole life done anything digital, or they don't even have a LinkedIn account, so they're not participating in the international discussion what's going on. I mean, I understand it from the board point of view, because he or she is not a threat, but it's a disaster for the company.
It's a great point you make, great point. So we always like to have this final segment of every show, and we call it the Rivet, the Denim Rivet. And so it's rapid fire questions and answers, so feel free to be as succinct or elaborate if you would like, but one of these questions is a favorite of ours. So what is your favorite place that you've ever been to on a business trip, and why?
I have two. Dubai. I was just impressed by the energy and by the willingness to look into the future. and China, Shanghai, to see what they have achieved in the last 30 years is just stunning, and we should be inspired by that and try to get that energy.
Interesting. If you could only have one of the following types of devices, which would you use? Would it be a smartphone, a tablet, or a laptop?
Smartphone.
Smartphone wins the day. And that is, by the way, the vast majority of all. We've asked just about every person we've ever interviewed in 2.5 years. Smartphone is far and away the winner of this one. And we like to ask every guest, if you have a favorite quote or maybe a recent book or two that you've read on either innovation or startups or disruption topics, any advice that you would give either through quotes or books that you've recently read?
Well, I read a book written by a very senior or seasoned CEO and owner of an insurance, Dr. Stefan Knoll, about Prussia. And what he does there, he reflects the Prussian history and comments them what could we learn for the insurance industry. And I think that's a really funny book because you need to laugh a lot. And since he owns an insurance, he doesn't care about what other people say. So he also calls out the elephant in the room. And sometimes I really needed to laugh a lot. That's one. And in general, I follow more people on social media. I listen to a ton of podcasts. I really consume a lot on social media, on LinkedIn, Xing, Twitter, and that's my main thing because I travel so much. That's the main thing I do.
That's good. And now you have one more podcast to add to your repertoire, to your library, Denim Rivet, of course. So let's wrap it up there. How can Denim Rivet listeners that are interested in following you and your innovative thinking and thought leadership, where do they go? How can they find more?
So, of course, I'm at the known channels, Twitter, YouTube. I just started my YouTube channel, so check that out. Or on LinkedIn, follow me there or hook up with me there. Or go to my site, www.digitalscouting.de. I'm happy to hear from you. Just drop me a note. Let me know what you think about the stuff I write. If I'm around, just say hi and let's have a coffee together.
Excellent, as we've done today. So
yes.
Thank you so much, Robin.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on Denim Rivet, and thank you for sharing here at the Global Insurance Symposium.
Thank you.
Thanks. Excellent. That was great.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, a little bit campaign and stuff.
Good. And feel free to, if you want to